What's going on? So this video is part two. Part one of this video series was about creating a script that will allow you to randomize all the track colors in the session. So if you didn't watch that one, maybe jump back and watch that one first. Because now what we're going to do is we're going to keep this, but we're going to expand the functionality out to give the user the choice to either to do this, the random colors, or to color by rules, which is what I usually use this script for. So if you remember at the start of the previous video, I was talking about how I manage my sessions by having a constant set of colors across different sessions. If it's a music mix, the drums are always brown, guitars are red, pianos are green, and I have rules for all these different things. And for film and television, dialogue's yellow, sound effects is orange, etc. So that's what we're going to look at with this now. So what we're going to do is we're going to function this script so that it first asks the user, do you want random colors or do you want to color by a set of rules? So we've done that sort of thing before. We've done like a message box prompt that will ask the user to input something. So that one is get user inputs. All right, so yeah, let's do it here, and then we'll move it to a better spot. So if maybe you remember how this works, it returns two values. One of them is just whether a value succeeded. This is true or false, and the other one is actually what they typed in. So yeah, we can leave retval, that's fine. We're not actually going to use retval, but it can be there, that's fine. So this will be user selection. The title of the box is type of color scheme. The number of inputs is just one. And this is like the secondary caption in there. So this one will be type R for random. So how we want this to work is if they type R, you get the portion of the script that we did in the previous video. But if they type anything else, it's going to color by rule. We could change that. You could make R for random and then S for scheme or something. But how I usually like to do it is, the primary function of the script is the default, and then you have to specify whether you want the secondary function. In this case, the secondary function is the randomized version. So you press R for that, but if you type anything else, or if you press escape, it'll do the color by rule thing. Now, I'm going to take a step back here. I'm going to restructure some of this slightly, because this is no longer our main script. This is sort of more our random colors function. So I'm going to rename that randomize colors, randomize track colors, right? And I'm going to move this out of there. We're going to make another main. This is going to be a much smaller main now. So that's where we get hit with our prompt. Now, if I run the script, I just want to point something out. This is what gets called, because at the bottom here we call the main function. So this comes up. R for random, nothing happens. And that's because this line executes, it goes to the end, and then we're out of the script, because nothing is actually calling this function. Excuse me. remember how functions work. They're a set of instructions, but if nothing calls those instructions, nothing will happen. Very important concept to remember. So if user selection is R, then we do the randomization stuff. So let's try that. R for randomize. Good. A for nothing. Or I'm just going to press escape. Also nothing. So what's happening there is it's doing this, and then it checks if we typed R, exactly R. If we do, it does the rest, but if it doesn't, it just goes to the end, and then we're out of the script. Right? So if we type anything other than R, including nothing, just press escape, then we do color tracks by rules. So this will be another function here, right? So if you type R, you get the old script from last video. If you type anything else, you get this new script that doesn't have a lot of action in it. So that's what we're going to be populating today. All right. So what do we want to do here? It's going to be a script that looks at all the tracks. So it's going to count the tracks in the project, and then using a for loop, go through each track, get a reference to the track, get the name of the track. Yeah, so then we're into our rules stuff. So if the track name includes, I'm just going to give some examples. I want yellow for that. If the track name includes OH space, because that's overhead drum microphone, I want brown because brown is drums. DX is dialogue for film. If the track name includes space V, I want dark green because that means reverb. It's a type of reverb track. Now, just to note something, what happens if the track is DXV1? I think I have that in the list. Yeah, there it is there, DXV1. So that satisfies this rule. It also satisfies this rule. So which do we pick? Well, I know what I want it to pick. I want it to be, I want it to give preference to dark green rule, not yellow. So that's something that we're going to have to tell the computer to do specifically. So how we're going to do that is we're going to have like a hierarchy of priorities. So there's going to be a priority 1 rule, which is going to be this one. Priority 1 rule. And these ones, these 2 examples that I gave, these are priority 2 rules, right? So it looks through the priority 1 set of rules. If it finds a match, it does that and moves on to the next track. It doesn't keep looking at rules. If it doesn't find anything in the priority 1 rule set, we then move on to the priority 2 rule set. Now, depending on what your needs are, maybe you have a 3rd rule set. I don't. I've been using a similar script to this for a while. I can get it to do everything I want it to do just with 2 rule sets, 2 priority sets. But you might want 3, but it's easier to add a 3rd. Yeah, you'll see how easy it is later on. Okay, so these rule sets, these are going to be in the form of tables. So priority, what would we call it? Priority rule 1, sure, that's fine. Priority rule 2. So these are going to be tables like this. It's going to be similar to this table, but slightly different. Now, this type of table is just a table that just has values. And the value is this color, this color, this color. And when you structure a Lua table in that way, they get indexed with numbers automatically. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. However, what we're going to do here, we're going to have a table that's not indexed using numbers. It's indexed using a different data. And that data is a string. So what that's going to be is this is the key and this is the value. Okay. Just to clarify what I said before, this differs from this table because the key is the indexed number. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This table does not use numbers anymore. This table uses a string key. And the second entry is like this for me. So that's how I name tracks. Like sound effects space V is a reverb for sound effects. Sound effects space D is a delay for sound effects. And I want those to always be dark green. So those are my priority ones. Now priority 2 is going to be a big list. But yeah, let's satisfy everything that we want. So all drum things are brown. Sometimes I just do K instead of the word kick, so we want that to be included. We also have snare. Overhead microphone for drums. There's more that I might use in a session, but I'm going to move on. Drum microphones, drums. You know, just when you've got a big list of stuff like this, it can be a good idea to sort of categorize them with a comment. So then we have guitars. Guitar is going to be red. Okay. All right, so I think I've got everything. Hopefully, maybe I missed something. In general, I definitely missed something because I usually have like quite a few more types, like hi-hat, etc. So I'm not going to keep going through those. I also added in a yellow into our pool, so the random system can also get a yellow, but I forgot about yellow because yellow is my dialogue. Cool. So we've got our rules. We've got our priority 1 rule table and our priority 2 rules, which is our main set here. And obviously you would customize this to what you want it to be. But this is what I want it to be. All right, color by rules. All right, let's start doing it. So count the number of tracks. Some of this will be the same as the other one. That's fine. Using a for loop, blah, blah, blah. All right. All right, so get a reference to the track. Oh yeah, we did that before, didn't we? So track equals, yep. Track equals, okay, so get the name of the track. So that's different, isn't it? So get track name get set media track name. So this is a bit of a confusing one. It's a function where you can either get the name or you can change the name, or you can get and change any of these values. Yeah, so it's a little bit confusing how they've, mashed all this functionality into one giant function like that. But that is what they've done. That's okay. So it's going to be local. We have a return value. This is just like a true or false to see if there is something. And then the string, string need big, that is going to be the track name, name. So we need to pass in a track. String par name, that's the thing that we're actually querying. So we're querying p underscore name, and that has to be in capital letters. Remember that. No space. Now the other things, this is if we're replacing the name, so we're not doing that, and we're not setting a new value, so that's going to be false. Cool. I think that's good. Let's see. Just a quick note. You'll see I said local in front of 2 variables. You can do that, and both of them will be local. That's how that works. If you write local parameter name, variable name, comma, variable name, you could do a third comma, variable name. They're all local when you do it like that. All right, so now we're going to look through our rules. So this is going to use a different sort of for loop to what we've seen before. So what it is you can do a for loop that will look through all the entries in a table just once, one for each. So if we do that for this table, it'll just go through twice, once for this one, once for this one. If we do it for this one, it's going to be quite a few more, but it goes through just once each time, traverses through the table. So what that is for key, comma, value in pairs, and then the table name do. Oh boy. A little bit confusing. Now, first of all, this doesn't have to be key, K and V. You can choose what you want to do that. You could write the words key and value if you want, or they can be whatever you like. So pairs means it's going to look at the key and value pair. So this is the key for this value. This is the key for this value. So it's going to look through them in pairs. That's why it's called in pairs. It's a built-in function into the Lua framework. So yeah, it's going to look through the table. One thing to note, I don't know if this is important for this script, but it's worth noting that when you do a pairs for loop like this, it doesn't do them in order. It doesn't go from top to bottom. It does them in like some sort of seemingly random order, but it looks through each element only once. I don't think that's going to matter for this script, but it is worth knowing just in general that pairs for loops like this, it's not in order. So whether that's relevant or not remains to be seen, but worth noting. You could even put that in a script for your own notes. Pairs for loops do not traverse through the table in order. They go in seemingly random order. Okay, moving on from that. So we're going to look through each element, and we're going to see if this bit of the string, space V, is part of the track name. So if it's looking at this one, it's not going to be part of the track name. However, if it's looking at this one, it is going to be part of the track name. It's right in the middle, but it's a subset of that string. Okay. So to look at portions of strings, there is this string.find function. So this isn't a Reaper function. This is a Lua function. So in this example from this person, string.find, they're looking in sentence for hello. And hello is in there. It's this part of the sentence. So that's going to be true. And it returns the, yeah, right. It returns the index of the string. So it's the first character in the string. Cool. So we're looking through this table, and what we're going to do is if string.find string.find track name K. Now, to be clear, it's not looking for the letter K in track name. It's looking at the key of the table. So in the first iteration, it might be this one. So this is K. It's looking for this in the track name. And then either it finds it or it doesn't find it. If it doesn't find it, it goes on to this one. And now this is K. So that's what K means. It's looking for K in track name, whatever K happens to be at that time. If it doesn't find it, it's going to, this string.find thing is going to return nil. But if it does find it, it's going to return an integer value. So doing if like this, if it's nil, it's going to skip to the end and keep going. But if it finds it, it's going to enter into this if block. So if it finds it, then color equals V. Yeah, that's it. So if it finds this, color is going to be equal to V. V is the value in this KV pair, K and V. So that's the color. Awesome. So we need to declare color. So local color. It initializes as a variable that's empty. It doesn't have any value just yet. And then we populate it here. Color equals V, right? So then another thing, we write the word break. And what that means is, no, sorry, here. What that means is, as soon as we find it, we break this for loop and we don't keep looking through it. So if it says the word break, it'll immediately go to the end of this and continue on. That way we don't get repeated matches. We shouldn't get repeated matches, but yeah. I suppose it's optional. Let's call it optional. Optional, end the loop if we find a match. I guess it'll work exactly the same if we don't have that. But let's just leave it there in case we want to come back to that because something funny happens. Okay. Need the word then. There we go. Okay, cool. So that's our first rule done. See if there is a match in priority rule 1. If there was not a match in rule 1, then look through rule 2. But remember, we don't want to look through rule 2 if we already found something. If we already found something, that's what we want it to be. You don't want to look through rule 2. So an easy way of checking that is, if we didn't find anything, color would still be nil at this point. So what we can do is, if color is still equal to nil, then we look through rule 2 table. And then it's pretty much the same thing. We can kind of just copy this same structure, but this time it's not rule 1. This time it's rule 2. Yeah. So if we find a K, then we assign it. Now, bearing in mind that there's still not guarantee that we'll find something here, because if you called the track like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that doesn't satisfy any of these rules. It's not going to find any match. So there's still no guarantee that we found something. So then lastly, if we have a color at this point, then we color the track. Only try and color the track if we have found a match. All right. Surely I kind of got it right at first go. Let's try. Bugger. What have I done? Colored by tracks and so yeah, this for loop doesn't have an end. That's one of the reasons why it's quite important to make sure the indentation is really meticulous, because then it's really easy to see stuff. In terms of the code, it actually doesn't matter. Like, you can put this end over here, and like this will still work. It's just less human readable. So yeah, the indentation, I would recommend like trying to be as meticulous as I am trying to be here. Right, let's try again. So look at that. It's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. The only thing I don't like is that these ones are still have a color. Because, film mix and music mix, those aren't part of the rules. Those colors are left over from when we did the randomization. I suppose you could do like a check. You could have some sort of no color. Can you do that? How do you do no color? Yeah, maybe there's a way. Maybe that can be your homework. If you if it doesn't find a color, it returns to like the stock gray color. That's fine. Like that's not functionality that I've had in my script that I've used for a long time. Yeah, it's probably fine. But that could be an addition if you think it's useful. Yeah, I mean that's sort of what we're happy with. Let's just randomize it again for funsies. Run it again. I'm just going to press escape because that's how I normally run it, and then it does it by rule. Awesome. Cool. That's it. And lastly, I usually put a put this as the shortcut. So there we go. So like I suppose like how I usually use this. If I'm starting a new session, sound effects, Foley, sound effects 2, DX1, DXV1, whatever. I then run the shortcut, and then there we go. So that's very satisfying when it does it like that. Cool. So there we go. Hopefully you found that useful, and I'll see you in the next one.